Hello friends, just a few days ago, we arrived here in the state of Michigan for a short vacation with family. And I returned back to the trails that I used to ride, the home where I grew up. I used to go fishing on this lake and play ice hockey here every winter when I was a young adult. Had so much fun out here with a lot of different friends and my brother and my sister. Behind me is my parents' place and also a bunch of trees that I climbed, probably climbed them too high, especially this one right here, but it was all in good fun. Many good memories. Here's a pretty crazy thing just in and of itself. These spruce trees you see behind me, I planted them when they were just sticks, just a foot tall, and now they are 15, 20, 25 feet tall. The air is so clean and fresh back here, and this trail you see behind me was used by my brother and I to go mountain biking, to go hiking. We even went winter camping back here with some friends when there was 2 feet of snow on the ground, and once upon a time my brother and I also carried our beloved dog Velvet back along this trail and buried her with many tears and much sorrow and grief. There are many memories tied to this trail. So many days, so many hours, spending time with friends, talking with my brother, walking back here with my mom and my dad and my sister too. And just being here, all these memories start flooding back. There's something about going back to a place where you remember. I looked back at some of the landscape projects that I had worked on and other familiar places, and the sights and sounds all had a therapeutic effect on me. They were like stones of remembrance. I started to remember the decisions that I made when I was young, why I made them. Some regrets came to mind, things that I had done wrong or things I should have said differently. But I also had lots of good memories, lots of positive resolutions about friendships, about ministry that I used to do in this area, about how I developed, the lessons that God taught me. And all of these things started to come into my mind, that they caused me to worship God, to be thankful for what He has done in my life. You see, remembering causes us to worship. There's a really interesting Hebrew word used in the Old Testament, zakar, and zakar means to remember. And all throughout the Old Testament narratives, God was calling His people Israel to remember who He is, to remember what He had done, how He had protected, how He had provided, how He had helped, and also to remember who they were in Him, that they had a relationship with the God who created the universe and who had brought them into relationship with Himself by His grace. And sometimes He called His people to also set up these memorial stones, stones of remembrance, so that they would not forget how He had provided, how He had protected. Check out this passage in 1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 12. After God provided victory over the Philistines, it says this, "Then Samuel, that prophet of God, took a stone and set it between Mizpah and Shen and named it Ebenezer, saying, 'Thus far the Lord has helped.'" God has helped us. We want to remember this. But 1 Samuel isn't the only time when this happened. In the book of Joshua, chapter 4, it says this, "Now when all the nation had finished crossing the Jordan River, the Lord spoke to Joshua saying," now here's verse 2, "Take for yourselves 12 men from the people, 1 man for each tribe, and command them saying, take up for yourselves 12 stones from here, out of the middle of the Jordan, from the place where the priest's feet are standing firm, and carry them over with you, and lay them down in the lodging place where you will lodge tonight." Now, why would they do that? Well, here's the answer in verse 6. "Let this be a sign among you, so that when your children ask later," and I love that because my children are always asking questions, "Why do we do this? Why is this here?" And their children would do the same thing. It says, they're going to say, "Why? What do these stones mean? Why are they here?" "Then you shall say to them, because the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it crossed the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. You got to repeat it in two different ways. Make sure your children understand God protected the ark of the covenant. God opened up the Jordan so that we could walk through. So these stones shall become a memorial to the sons of Israel forever. Now, the stones of memorial were obviously bigger than this rock. Maybe they were the size of the rocks that I'm sitting on right here. Good chances, though, they were even a lot bigger than that. And so it took these men of great strength, to position them in a stack, I'm assuming, these memorial stones. Remember what God did here. He provided for us. And coming back here to the place of my youth, the place where God taught me many lessons, the place where God protected, provided, in so many ways helped me, it's caused me to worship. You see, remembering that word zakar is the first act of worship. To remember who God is, to remember how he has provided for me, then causes me to respond in submission to him because I'm in awe of him. Remembering causes us to worship. And then out of that position of submission, we then voluntarily, joyfully obey him. Remembering, submitting, then obeying. That's really the biblical theology behind this word we use, worship. Remembering causes us to worship. So today, here's something to do. Take a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen and write down 10 things that God has done for you, how he has protected you, how he has helped you, how he has provided for you, or how he has taught you. And look back at what your life was 10, 15, 20 years ago. Maybe think about those stones of memorial that you've had in your life, or pictures of your childhood, or of a ministry setting when you were a child or a teen, or a mission trip you took, or maybe some lesson you learned at home, or a mentor, a pastor, uncle, or parent, something that God taught you. And write those things down. Write down about 10 things that God has done for you. And then worship. See, remembering does cause us to worship because it causes us to reflect, to pause, and to renew our focus on who God is and his power and his mercy in our lives. So remember today, and then respond in worship to the God who is, to the God who was, to the God who always will be. We will remember and we will worship him forever and ever. I hope you have a great day. I am praying for you today. God bless. Maybe I should start collecting rocks. What do you think?